Now, why is there craving? Or what is the condition of craving? Sensation, feeling. Now, pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling, right? So, when there is feeling, there is craving, ordinarily. Now, when you have a good feeling, then you are attached to it. So when you practice meditation and you feel good, and you don't want to lose this, right? you want to hold on to it. So when there is good feeling, there is attachment or craving, right? Then when there is unpleasant feeling, there is what? Hmm? So according to this, feeling to craving. So pleasant feeling to craving. Unpleasant feeling to Now, it is said in the commentaries that when you have good feeling, you want to hold on to it. When you have unpleasant feeling, you want a pleasant feeling. So there is craving, even though you have bad feeling, unpleasant feeling. So you have unpleasant feeling, you long for pleasant feeling. So there is the craving. So whether you have a good pleasant feeling or unpleasant feeling, there is bound to arise craving. And what about neutral feeling? Neutral feeling is similar to pleasant feeling. So when you have neutral feeling, you tend to attach to it too. So there is always a craving. I mean, I should not say always. I will explain it later. So when there is feeling, there is craving. So feeling is the condition for craving. Or feeling arises, craving arises having feeling as a condition. Does feeling always lead to craving? Does feeling always lead to craving?
Yes. No.
Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Yes?
No.
One says yes, one says no. So you will have to fight.
I think it's yes.
Yes.
I don't know.
No, those who say yes, I want to ask, do you practice meditation?
I was going to say, for those who, I say before enlightenment, feeling always will lead to craving.
No. With meditation, you can avoid craving, whatever feeling you have. Say you have pain here, and then you watch pain and say pain. And you are mindful of pain, and so you avoid, say, having attachment or having aversion towards pain. You can avoid this by mindfulness. And you have good feeling, and that is why when you have good feeling, pleasant feeling, you have to be mindful of it. Because if you are not mindful of it, you tend to attach to it. So, with practice of vipassana meditation, you can avoid having craving, although there is feeling.
It's sort of temporary, right? Only during the time you're meditating.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Next backward step. What is the condition of feeling? Contact. So when there is contact, there is feeling. When there is no contact, there will not be feeling. But it is always when there is contact, there is feeling. There is no interfering with it. Now, what is contact? Contact is a separate mental factor. Now, we must understand this, because many people misunderstand contact. Contact does not mean just coming together of two or three things. But as a result of coming together of two or three things, something arises. And that something is what we call contact. Although contact is conditioned by the other things, it arises simultaneously. It is something like, say, when you strike two sticks together, or say when you clap your hands, the sound arises, right? The sound is conditioned by the coming together of two hands. But the sound arises simultaneously with the hands coming together. So that sound is, contact is like that sound. Now, not just these two coming together, but because of coming together of two things or three things, there arises one mental factor, and that mental factor is called contact. Now, the contact can be understood with reference to seeing something walking on a tightrope. So when somebody is walking on a tightrope, what do you feel? How do you feel? You have something feeling here. Say, you're worried for that person. He might fall or something like that. So that kind of feeling is caused by the mental contact with what the man is doing on the tightrope. So that feeling is the conditioned by the contact. Or say when you see something, someone eating say sour thing, then you have water in your mouth, and that is also conditioned by contact. Contact here means mental contact. So when things come together, because of their coming together, the contact arises, and when there is contact, there is that feeling, pleasant feeling or unpleasant feeling or neutral feeling. What is the condition of contact? 6 sense bases. Actually, we can say 12 sense bases. When we see something, there is contact. What causes contact? What conditions contact? Or why is there contact? Because there is the eye, and because there is something to see. So when a visible object comes into the avenue of the eye, that means they come, something like coming together, then there is the seeing consciousness. So when we see something, there are 3 things, right? The eye, the visible object, and consciousness, seeing consciousness. So when these 3 come together, there is contact. So contact is conditioned by actually 3 things. But here only the physical base is taken as the condition for contact. So there are how many bases?
6.
Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So in Buddhism, so there are 6 senses, not 5 senses. And mind is called the 6th sense. So these are called sense bases. Because there is the eye, there is the eye contact. Because there is the ear contact, and so on. So contact is conditioned by the sense bases. Now, what are the conditions of 6 bases? Nama and Rupa, right? Nama, Rupa, and Nama, Rupa. Now here Nama means mental factors, cetasikas, and Rupa means the material properties. Because there are cetasikas and there are material properties, there are actually not 6, 12 sense bases. Now, the eye base belongs to material property, right? Ear base and so on. Then the sixth one, what? Mind. Mind base belongs to mind base means chetas. So the sixth base, which is mind, is conditioned by what? Cetasikas. That means the mental factors and consciousness arise together and they support each other. So they condition each other. Mind conditions mental factors and mental factors condition mind. So they are conditioned by each other. That is why the conditions for six sense bases are said to be nama, mental factors, and the other material properties, rupa. And what is the condition for nama and rupa? Vijnana, right? Consciousness, right? Now, consciousness and mental factors, they are two components of mind. Consciousness is the awareness of an object, just the awareness, not the awareness we use in meditation. In meditation, what we call awareness is sati or mindfulness. But here, just the awareness, just the relationship between the mind, chitta on the one hand and the objects on the other. So just the awareness of the object is called consciousness. And only when there is the awareness of the object can there be the contact with the object, or say attachment to the object, or aversion to the object. So mental factors are said to be dependent upon consciousness, which is just the awareness of the object. Without the awareness of the object, mental factors cannot arise. But consciousness and mental factors arise simultaneously. Although they arise together, mental factors cannot arise if there is no consciousness, if there is no awareness of the object. So awareness of the object, which is here consciousness, is conditioned for nama and rupa. And there is what is called rebirth producing consciousness. So as a result of rebirth producing consciousness, there arises rebirth. Now rebirth means a type of consciousness and material properties caused by karma. Here karma and consciousness are taken together. So the material properties, some material properties are said to be conditioned by consciousness. And there are types of material properties which are caused by mind. So mind-born material properties. So that is why vijnana or consciousness is a condition for nama and rupa. That means cetasikas and material properties. Now, what is the condition of a cause of vijnana? Consciousness. What is the condition of consciousness? Mental formations, right? Now here consciousness means resultant consciousness. Say we see something and that seeing consciousness is a resultant consciousness. Say we hear something and that hearing consciousness is a resultant consciousness. And also when we took rebirth in this life, the first type of consciousness is the resultant consciousness. It is the result of past karma. So consciousness both at the moment of rebirth and also during life, some type of consciousness we call resultant consciousness, are caused by mental formations. Now, what are mental formations? Do you know what mental formations are? Kusala and akusala karma. The same as bhava. So, mental formations means wholesome karma and unwholesome karma. So, wholesome karma or unwholesome karma produces resultant consciousness at the moment of rebirth as well as during life. Now, what is the condition of mental formation? Ignorance. Then mental formations means wholesome karma and unwholesome karma, right? So when you practice meditation, say you are acquiring wholesome karma, and that wholesome karma is conditioned by ignorance. So because you are ignorant, you practice meditation. Right? Now, ignorance means ignorance, truth, ignorance of what really is. Now, when we come across something, some object, we do not see them as we do not see it as it really is. We take it to be permanent. We take it to be desirable, and so taking them as permanent, taking them as desirable, is actually caused by ignorance. Because we are ignorant of the true nature, we are attached to it, or we are repulsed by the object. So when through vipassana meditation we see the true nature, then we dispel ignorance. So when there is no ignorance, there can be no mental formations. So now we have gone backward from number 11, old aging and death, to ignorance. Now, is ignorance the first cause, or is there no condition for ignorance? It looks like it, right?
Yes.
Because ignorance is given at the top of, at the beginning of this doctrine. So it looks like there is no condition for ignorance. Then we could take ignorance as the first cause, right? Now it's said that ignorance has its condition too. Say when we are oppressed by aging and death, then there arises in our mind what are called asavas, cankers, and among the cankers there is ignorance. So ignorance is also conditioned by the other unwholesome mental states. So that is why this doctrine is to be understood as a wheel, not as just a chain, but as a wheel. It's turning round and round. So from 1 to you go to 2, 3, 4, 5, 11, and then back to 1. So this is a wheel of life, and so long as we are unable to interfere with this wheel, unable to cut this wheel, we will be going round and round and round from one life to another. And we have come how many births we don't know, maybe millions of births, and we will go for many more millions if we do not cut this wheel. Now, where can we cut this wheel? Huh? Anywhere?
Craving.
Yes. So only at one place, right? Can we cut this wheel, and that is where between feeling and craving, right? So that is very important. Now, when we practice meditation and vipassana meditation, we are cutting this wheel. So when there is, although there is feeling, if we do not have craving, then the wheel is no more, right? So every moment we are meditating and being mindful of feelings, say good or bad or whatever, then we are cutting this wheel of life. Maybe this is temporary cutting off. And this temporary cutting will lead us to the permanent cutting when we get enlightenment and become arahants. So this is the only place we can cut this wheel of life. And what Vipassana meditators do is just cutting or trying to cut this wheel at this point. So this point is the most important for the practitioners of Vipassana meditation.
Before I do the summary, could you explain again why the aging and death cause ignorance?
Oh.
You see,
so when we are oppressed by aging and death, we suffer, right? When we suffer, there arises in our mind the cankers, the mental defilement. So when we say the cankers arise or the cankers multiply, we mean there is ignorance, because ignorance is one of the cankers. So when there is aging and death, and we suffer this aging and death, then in our minds ignorance arises. Not only ignorance, the other mental defilements also arise. Therefore, ignorance is said to be conditioned by aging and death and the other cankers. So how many factors did you find in dependent origination? How many? Ignorance, mental formations, consciousness, nama rupa, sense bases, contact, feeling, craving, grasping, bhava. Becoming, birth, and aging and death. Aging and death is one. So how many? 12. Yeah. So there are said to be 12 factors in the doctrine of dependent origination, or in this wheel of life. So among these 12 factors, those that are responsible for this wheel to go on and on and on are the number one, the ignorance, and number 8, craving. So these two are the most important conditions or causes for this wheel to go on and on and on. The ignorance and craving. And according to Abhidhamma, craving is always accompanied by ignorance. So when we say craving, we also mean ignorance, because ignorance and craving cannot be separated. That is why when we say craving is the second noble truth, right? The second noble truth is craving, or the origin of suffering is craving. So when we say this, we mean also ignorance, not only craving, because craving cannot stand alone. Wherever there is craving, there is ignorance. It is always accompanied by ignorance. So with regard to the second noble truth, the Buddha said that the craving is the origin of suffering. That is just taking one which is prominent. But actually, we should take both, the ignorance and craving. So these two are called the roots of the round of existence. So if we can cut these two roots, then the round of existence will be no more, and we will die as arahants, and there's a final liberation from all suffering. So these are the two roots of existence, ignorance and craving. Those who have become arahants were able to destroy these two roots. That is why they even before they die, whatever they do, they just do it. Their actions do not constitute karma. So Buddhas teach people, right? And Arahants also teach other people, and they may donate something to some other person. And whatever they do, their action does not become kusala. So it is called kiriya, just doing. Because if it is kusala, then it must have results. And when there are results, then it will go on and on and on. So because the Arahants have cut off two roots of round of existence, they do not acquire fresh karma. Although they do what to our eyes is meritorious deed. But theirs is not called merit or not called kusala. So theirs is called kiriya. Kiriya is translated as inoperative or functional. That means just doing. Following the line of thought taken by Bodhisattva, we trace backward to the first mention in this teaching, the ignorance. But actually, when the Bodhisattva went back, his wisdom or his mind stopped at number 3 and then turned back. He didn't go over to second sankhara and avijja, ignorance. So he stopped there, and then his mind turned back. And it is explained in the commentaries that because he was going to practice vipassana on these factors, he contemplated only on those belonging to present life and not go back to past life. So if you read the first discourse of the second part of Digha Nikaya, the long discourses, so you will find that the Bodhisattva said, "Oh, my mind turns back from Vijnana number 3, Vijnana Pacca Namarupa." He said, Vijnana is the condition for Nama and Rupa, and Nama Rupa is condition for Vijnana, like that.